Welcome to the Philip Wiley Show. Take a look behind the curtain of professional hacking and hear compelling discussions with guests from diverse backgrounds who share a common curiosity and passion for challenges and their job. And now, here's your host, offensive security professional, educator, mentor, and author, Philip Wiley.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Philip Wiley Show. Today, I'm excited to have three friends of mine joining today. Kind of interesting, the first episode of the Philip Wiley Show where I've got more than one guest. And kind of why I'm bringing these three in today is we did a collaboration in Grapevine, Texas last month that was pretty cool. It was the Lone Star Cyber Circus. So it was very cool. We had some folks from the local Dallas hacker scene came in to talk about the local Dallas hacker scene. And then also Hutch and Quentin Rose Herrera talking about AI. And so one of the things I've been doing with this new podcast that I didn't really do with the Philip Wiley Show is I have guests on at times just to mainly discuss like content creation, because it's a good avenue for folks that are trying to get started in cybersecurity, and a good way for those that are in cybersecurity to build their brand and build their exposure and help their career. So I'm excited to have Jason and Kevin from Cyber Distortion and Chris Glanden from Barcode joining today. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yay, thank you. Finally.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Yeah, good to have you guys.
We've been looking forward to this.
Well, that's good. Glad to have you guys on. Chris has been on my old podcast, and so good to have him on the new one too, and good to have you guys on. So I really like all the stuff you guys are doing. You three put out some really good content, and the production value is pretty awesome. I've been going back looking through your recordings and stuff and seeing, usually you guys have like a green screen in your background on your show, which is really cool. You do a lot of great work, and then Chris is doing some cool stuff with also as well. We'll get into. So why don't we have you Cyber Distortion guys introduce yourself? Why don't you go first, Jason?
Yeah, sure. So Jason Papillon, and so Kevin and I started this collaboration podcasting wise 2 years ago. We'll be getting into our third season this year. We're launching that here coming up in February with our first episode. We have a very stacked season this year, so it's exciting. And we've kind of fell into doing podcasting the message of cybersecurity kind of as a way to get more information out to the general public in the communities to help build people up. And what we found was we were just constantly being asked within the industries that we already work and serve in to continue to speak to this. And so we brainstormed. We were doing speaking engagements quite a bit throughout the year, and we brainstormed like, there's got to be a better way. And one of the better ways of doing that would be to start to do a video and audio podcast that we can reach out to audiences everywhere and spread this knowledge. And so Kevin and I launched with that intent to spread as much knowledge as possible to help build up other content creators and spread the word about cybersecurity as far and wide as we could to, help everyone learn how to be offensive and defensively aware. So, Kevin?
Yeah, so hey, good to be on, Philip, again. Thanks for having us. Kevin Pentecost, the other half of the Cyber Distortion podcast. What Jason didn't mention is that this was no easy endeavor to get off the ground. I think he kind of came into this a bit kicking and screaming. We've talked about that a couple of times on other episodes where we've talked about how we got started. And because of our I guess chemistry from working together in collaborative networking opportunities in our industry, we kind of just got to know each other really well, worked together really well. And as I got into cybersecurity, Jason was kind of already in a C-suite in his company. We were actually a customer of his company in the real world. And he was kind of more involved in from a CTO standpoint. And I said, dude, the thing you're missing now is just getting that extra cybersecurity know-how. And he's like, oh, yeah, Kevin, well, how am I going to do that? And I'm like, I got the answer for you, buddy. I said, I just went through hell and back with the CISSP. I said, I challenge you to go get that CISSP too. And I kind of knew the bigger picture in my head was that if I could get him into the cybersecurity space a little bit more and get him going to some of the conferences and the events, that he'd come around. So he chased after it, pursued it, got it, and here we are today.
The moral of that story,
shortly after that.
The moral of that story is I got hacked by a hacker. Kevin came in and was like, "Yeah, I know how you tick. I got you, buddy." And he hacked me into becoming a cybersecurity expert.
You're social
that's
engineer,
true.
huh?
That's true. Yeah. I had to hit his company with ransomware before he'd believe me.
Very cool. Yeah, like I said, I really like you guys' content, and you have a good chemistry and just naturals for podcasting, as I witnessed when we did the collaboration back in Grapevine last month.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. And likewise, we really enjoy looking at your content and, just working with you in general, you and Chris for that matter.
Yeah, collaboration's a good thing. And that was a motivating collaboration. And so one of the things I want to do in 2024 is focus on more collaborations. And what a sign that we should be collaborating to get ahead was I was watching some previews in the movie theater last month or early in this month. And there's the new Godzilla and King Kong movie coming out. They're not battling each other. They're working together. So I thought if Godzilla and King Kong collaborate, that's a message for all of us.
Oh,
I know how you guys like monkeys or giant apes. So.
That's kind of a funny story behind that one too. Is when we started to design our logo, we went with the ape as kind of a secondary thing. And we thought, well, this would be kind of cool for marketing stuff or for hoodies or for shirts or whatever. But we never really intended to use that logo. We always went with this logo here. And we happened to have that on some lanyards that we were carrying around at DEF CON 2 years ago. People kept asking about it. Dude, what's that for? That's cool. So they were showing a huge interest in that logo. And it didn't take us long when we got back from DEF CON. We started using that logo on all kinds of stuff. So for the second season of the podcast, we pretty much just switched to that logo for season 2.
Oh, very cool.
I think the whole first season we had the other logo.
Yeah.
Very good branding, and it's really great for the listeners. Kevin's got a graphics design background. He's a graphic artist, and so that's one of the reasons they're able to make their stuff look so good. You can outsource that stuff, get other people to do it, but it's fortunate that you can do that yourself. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point too, Philip. Kevin and I have talked about this quite a bit. When we look at, what makes our podcast tick for us. Mm-hmm. And that's where we started at when we thought about what we wanted to do and the type of content we wanted to create. We thought about where are our strengths and how can we use those strengths to generate something that is different than what's out there and adds value, right? Because it's not just about being different. It doesn't matter if it's different if it doesn't add value. So it has to be able to add value. And so Kevin's strength, as you said, is in that background of graphic design. That is not my strength, nor do I want it to be. And so what happens and we just kind of fall into this cadence. What happens in our cadence is Kevin does all this artwork and this out of the box thinking of the design and what the look and feel should be and those types of things, right? And I get in on the content side. I'll start to string together a series of things that I'll take Kevin's ideas and string them together and start making them animate and look real and come to life, right? And then we circle back together again at the end and we do a review of everything we've put together. And Kevin will go through his other strength is he's a perfectionist. And he will nitpick at every last single thing on the screen.
I knew that wasn't going to end well.
Yeah,
I knew that wasn't a compliment that was coming.
Things that the audience would never even identify as an issue. Kevin's picking these things out. Yeah. And although it's annoying, I really appreciate it because he's taking the finer parts of what we're doing and refining them even further to where I have a lot of confidence in what we're putting out is going to be good. Right. And so I'll go back, I'll refactor everything, I'll clean up some things, we'll do a final review. And when we do the final review, I know it's going to be gold, and that's what we roll out. It's always gold when we roll that out. So every now and then, Kevin will make a few concessions, and I'll be like, dude, we don't need to change that. It's good enough. All right, man. But most often, we go through this cycle of refinement, and we use our skill sets to continue to refine it to get it to where it is. It's kind of like Gen AI. We're generating something unique every time. And who knows what it's going to be? It's whatever we kind of came up with, some kind of harebrained idea, a thought that we come up with that we fashioned into what the final product is going to be.
Yeah, we certainly don't think of most of that ahead of time. It just happens.
Oh, that's good. You guys are doing a great job. So, Chris, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of share about your podcast?
Yeah, so Chris Glanden, Barcode Podcast is my main podcast. I just started a new webcast called Risk Radar, which I'm 2 episodes in now. But that's going to be a live show running on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Discord, and Facebook. And basically that's going to be around, the SMB sector specifically and looking at risks that affect the SMB sector. Although Barcode started at the height of the pandemic. The height of the pandemic really, drove this initiative to replace a lot of the aspects that we as an industry were lacking at that time in terms of, happy hours. Black Hat, DEF CON didn't happen. So, for me, going to those events not only was a learning experience, but also an opportunity to network and talk to people, on the side or in a bar. And that's, I think, where the name Barcode came from, being more as an atmosphere to share knowledge with industry experts. So just surpassed 3 years on that, coming up on episode 100. So I don't know what I'm going to do for that yet. So, just been planning that and, still going strong. And I got starting to collaborate with other great podcasters like yourself and really just helping me stay motivated. And again, going back to what you were saying earlier with the out of the box thinking, I think that's what really is the synergy with us four and the chemistry that we bring is just that out of the box thinking, constantly pushing the boundaries of content creation. And, I thank you guys for helping me continue to do that.
Yeah. And it's, I had the honor of being on your show. What number was I on? Do you remember?
You were on twice.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and get the numbers. I think you were episode 13 and you might have to cut this out because I don't know exactly when that was.
That's okay.
But it was within the top 20. And then I think the last one you were on was probably, I think, in the low 70s. So I'll have to look again. But I had you back on the second time. We really focused on your presence in conferences. Because again, as we were talking about earlier offline, that you just happen to be at a new conference all the time, and just not getting tired of that, being able to continue educating others. And I think we really focused on that one. So.
Yeah, I just remember it had been during the pandemic when I was on the first time, but you
talked about the bear story that time.
Yeah.
Oh man, I still haven't heard that story yet.
Still haven't heard that?
No, but Philip's coming on our podcast next season, so he's going to tell it then. I don't even want to hear it until then.
Okay. But yeah, it's you put out a lot of great work too, and you have a documentary coming out, right?
I do. We actually just announced that we're going to premiere it on August 9th. During Hacker Summer Camp.
Yes.
I think we have a theater lockdown. We're going to have an after party. We're going to have a red carpet event. We're going to have a Q&A with the cast and crew after the premiere. So all of that is being worked out. The details are being worked out, but look for that August 9th. And we should have a trailer for the documentary coming out soon. But basically the trailer or the documentary itself is really focused on the weaponization of AI systems and really looking at the malicious use cases that exist today, as well as what that may look like further down in the future. So it'll be interesting.
So how was that to take on a documentary? I mean, because that's, some of the things we do as podcasters could be helpful, but that's like a next level.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think when I got out of school, I initially went to school for film, so it's always been a passion of mine. And so with everything that's been happening in AI over the past 5 years or so, it was an opportunity for me to look at it from a different angle. And I think, the podcast is a one way of a creative outlet for me. But again, I've always had a passion for film, so this is just another creative outlet for me. But it is difficult. It is definitely difficult when you're working, trying to do a documentary, but also, also trying to pay the bills as well, because the documentary for me is a side project, but it's also just become a deep passion of mine to get this done and done right and professionally, which it will be. So, I love doing it. The only challenge is really just carving out time to get it done.
And so you recently became an entrepreneur.
I did. Yeah. So my company, Barcode Security, now specializes in cybersecurity services, primarily focused on the SMB sector. But yeah, the actual company that I run full time now spawned from my podcast. Very cool. I don't know how many companies out there can say that. So
yeah, usually it's the other way around, right?
No, it's the other way around. Yeah. So, but I'm going to keep the podcast going. I love that. I'm going to keep film going as long as I can. But yeah, my primary day to day now is helping SMBs with their security program.
Very cool. See, that's amazing. The quality content you three put out, but it's also interesting to see in this industry some people that really do really good content. You look at Alyssa Knight that is doing has a video production company now. And then you see the quality of stuff like the Hacker Valley Media guys are putting out. You see people like John Hammond, that's not really a podcaster, but a YouTuber. The content he puts out is great. So a lot of really great content creators out there. And it's kind of nice because you take some folks that their career came out of content creation, just like, for instance, Heath Adams was creating YouTube videos and Udemy course, and it ended up turning into a company, not only education, but consulting. So it's really interesting to see the opportunities that has.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think now there's more creative talent that in this industry than there ever has been. And it's interesting to watch that, because coming from other industries, and I'm talking outside of cybersecurity, to even just 10 years ago, content creators were a different animal. They were a different breed. And it was mostly just YouTube. If you did YouTube videos and you were funny, you'd be a successful content creator. But now, man, it's almost like the production quality of some of this stuff has just gone up astronomically, and I can't wait to see the documentary, because I know, knowing Chris, the amount of effort he's going to go over and above to make this thing look, Hollywood quality is going to be, I just can't wait. It's going to be cool.
It's a blessing and a curse, man. And we talked about this before, as being too perfectionist, how it's a blessing and a curse, being able to, have to go back over and over just to make sure that delivery is quality. And both of us it's like quality over everything. And that's really the approach that I take with everything. So yeah,
we're all our own worst critics.
I think the other fascinating thing, to the point you just brought up, Kevin, is I've noticed in even the past 4 years, let's just go since the pandemic forward, I've noticed that there has been an influx of more content creators within the cybersecurity space. If we just talk about that area, there's been more people looking at that industry and saying, how can I do more? What else could I do? And getting involved in more ways than prior to the pandemic, which is great for all of us, because there's more opportunities for people to learn today than ever before because of what content creators are doing.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best. Agree. I think it's one of the best opportunities ever. I think it's just really the time is good. Before, I don't think it was taken as seriously, but now people see that as a way to make money, a way to, kind of start a business with that. And you take someone like Nahamsek that was at HackerOne, and he's went in business for himself. And a lot of what he's doing is content creation and streaming and some education stuff. Daniel Miesler did that like at the first part of last year into 2022. He was working for Robinhood. And just to go to show, he even shares on his blog post what he's doing and what he was making off of just his blog, his newsletter, and podcast. And he was making like $400 something thousand a year off of sponsorship. And then he's doing consulting. So it's amazing how this has opened up ways for people to do go business for themselves using content creation. But he wanted to share it so other people could do it too, have that. And with him, it wasn't so much just about the money, but the personal freedom you have too of creating that content. It's not all about the money. It's like you have the freedom to do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jason and I need to take his course so that we can just pay for our podcast instead of having to cover everything out of pocket, man. We have definitely not learned how to monetize anything yet, man. That's for sure.
Well,
Yeah,
also you
one
talk about I was just going to say, you're going to, look at the sustainability too. Like, a lot of people started in the, the height of COVID, but a lot sort of faded out afterwards. And, what I like about, you guys is that you kept creating content constantly, and it's been at a such high level, and that's very, very hard to do.
I think one of the keys for Kevin and I, we sat down at the beginning of the year. We bust out all this content, and then we take a break, and during our break it's a reflection of what are we going to do next year is going to be different, right? We take a reflection of it all. We look at what other people are doing. We look at what other content's out there, and we try to decide how we're going to bring something in the new season that's going to be different than what we've done in the past, and it's going to be more enjoyable and inviting to audiences over what they're already getting. And then we start a new season, and we go through that season. We do this every year, right? And it really is a process of looking for information that you can present in different ways than it's been presented before. Because, within cybersecurity, you can talk about the same topics over and over again, but it's not about the topic as much as it is about the learning of the topic. What is it in the topic can we present in a way that is new and refreshing, that someone can say, oh, zero trust, I heard that 1,000 times. I know what that is. And then they look at ours and they're like, oh, wait a minute. I did not know that. That's interesting, right? It's those things that we're trying to bring to people because we're delivering the content slightly different. So for us, it's work, right? Because we're going to look at a subject and we're going to have an expert talk about it, but our audience it's going to be broad. And so we want that new person who's trying to understand what this topic is about to be able to take something away from it. And we want the seasoned expert to be able to take something away from it, which means we might have to draw some things in kindergarten style out on the screen, but in such a way that the seasoned expert isn't offended because of how we drew it out on the screen kindergarten style, right? Yeah. So it's a real challenge to really blend content in such a way that it can meet the broadest audience possible and everyone gets something out of it.
Very cool. So I know you guys are on YouTube pretty heavy, but what all platforms are you guys on podcast platforms?
Yeah, YouTube was our original passion because we knew when we started this is that we definitely wanted to do it with video. So we started out with the intention of doing YouTube, but we use a streaming platform that pushes it out to all the audio channels as well. So we're pretty much anywhere where you can pick up an audio podcast, we're out there. Apple, Amazon, all of these streaming platforms, including Spotify, and some of them that I'd never even heard of because they're just part of that network. So we're pushing to all of those as well. But I think the primary thing for us was we definitely wanted to have the YouTube element of it so that we could do the video. Now I'm seeing that Spotify allows you to intermingle your video into your Spotify channel. Yep. So now I got to get that working, Jason. Just created some more work for myself.
And kind of the difference there too is, you do all the basic, the high profile streaming platforms, and those high profile ones are getting you coverage across the US. All the other platforms are getting you coverage worldwide. And so the tool that we're using is allowing us to get coverage worldwide and good coverage across all of those different platforms, because, we've got somebody in India who uses whatever, right? And they're able to use that platform and get our content on it. And we have someone in the US who all they use is Spotify or Amazon Music or Apple, and they can get that content. And so it's always there and always available everywhere. So for us, we have the coverage. It's just about continuing to pump out great content and get it out to as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, the different demographics across the different platforms, because when I was doing the Hacker Maker, it was all pure audio. And so with the new show, it's on, video on YouTube as well as Spotify, because that's one of the reasons I made Spotify my main platform, because if you publish the video there, it'll publish audio to all the other platforms, and it was free. I didn't have to pay anything to host there. So it was one of the things that made it attractive. I wanted to get the video on there. Although that's kind of interesting with Spotify, because I got the wrap up that they do every year. If you publish on there, they give you the wrap up showing your demographics and all that. And one of the interesting facts I got, and I'm really not back up to the listeners that I had on my old podcast, but I was in the top 10% of video podcasts. So it goes to show how not very many people are using it yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully it catches on.
Congrats,
but that's one of the things I got there. So hopefully that'll grow. But just to kind of show why I think it's not utilized that much yet. Hopefully more people will catch on. But
and another interesting thing there too, Philip, was when we publish a new episode, we watch what the initial intake is on both YouTube and streaming. And it is very interesting to see our audio goes nuts immediately. That's where people hit it first, but because it has that worldwide reach across multiple streaming platforms. So, we'll release at 10 o'clock some night and we're already getting hits. And when we release on YouTube, it starts to climb, but eventually YouTube just continues to go. So YouTube's more long lasting, sustaining, whereas the audios they jump on it immediately and then they kind of taper off. YouTube continues to go over a period of time. So it's just kind of interesting to see how the difference between streaming audio and video works, at least with our customer, with our, listener base, how they respond to the things that we put out there.
The other thing that's probably worth mentioning there is, we don't strategically drop episodes at a certain time or a certain day of the week or a certain, when all of our what would be listeners would happen to be up or looking for it. Jason and I are so excited to get a new episode out when we get it done. We're just like, I don't care if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, man, drop it. I want to get it up there. So we got a lot to learn. We got a lot to learn about capitalizing on the timing, but eventually that'll come.
Usually this is how it goes. We're doing this stuff, and after we get done with the last review and I'm watching it, I tell Kevin this all the time. I'm like, if I watch that last review and I'm laughing at what we just did, I'm laughing at us because of the content, I know it's going to be good. And I'm just excited to get it out there because it's fun, right? I'm having fun taking in what we just created. So.
Well, I take the same approach when it's done, it's done. And when I first started, it was every week like clockwork. And there were times where I was really pressing to get it out and just trying to release on a Friday. And at one point in time, I just got burnt out. Like I got burnt out trying to release it on a Friday. And then also I felt like if I kept down that route, it would just compromise quality. And again, that's something that I don't want to do. So at this point, it's like, with the business and putting out content, I'm at about, twice a month now. I'd like to increase that at some point, scale it out at some point where, again, I'm not doing a lot of the post-production work, which again, I'm doing pretty much all of that at this point, but scale it out at some point where, I can produce more, but until then, I'm not willing to take that hit on quality.
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to get to the point. Fortunately, I picked up a sponsor last year and they've been pretty good, but I would like to get to the point where I just have someone else do all the editing and all that stuff, take care of it. That way I could just create content, because that's the part that comes easy for me, just doing the interviews and finding the guests. So if I could just find someone to take care of that and I don't have to mess with the editing, that would be sweet.
And
Editing's
luckily, I
hard
only
work,
do
man.
audio.
It is hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do ours. So we'll record, Tuesday, Wednesday night. We'll edit it through. By the weekend, we have a first draft to review, and we'll review that first draft. But it'll take us the whole next week between edits, creating graphical overlays, animations, refining the audio, all of these aspects before we actually do a release. And so, true production is about two weeks of effort on an episode to get it out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Jason and I, we've already accepted the fact that we're never going to be a once a week podcast release type podcast. That's just not what we are designed to do. As much as we'd love to cover that much content, there's just no way, given our day jobs, that we're going to have time for the editing piece of it, because the editing piece of it is where he and I get so in the weeds. And it's like, man, we can drag something, we're beating on this dead horse, but we can drag something that would normally take a great editor 10 minutes to do. We can drag that out 3 hours just trying to fine tune it and make it perfect.
And here's a good example. Because we're doing in this one cut, right, we're doing audio and video. We have to think about what our audio audience, their interaction with this will be, given the fact that from the video standpoint, we're giving good information on the screen so people can read it or see it and understand it. But from an audio standpoint, they're not getting that piece of that content. So what else can we do to add value or flavor to it? So we're thinking about both components as we're trying to go through this, which usually comes out in the edit. So you'll see things like some stupid, silly things. Like we had one episode where someone had made a comment that was related to Prince. And so every time there was any inclination of anything related to Prince I know what it was. We were talking about hackers and the Nigerian Prince email that you would get, right? Anytime there was a reference to that, we had in the background popping up as an audio. And it was to make the connection between, the Nigerian prince and how silly, stupid that really is, and you getting an email from a Nigerian prince. Really? Right? And so it's those little silly things that we're doing to add these funny pieces of content back into the equation that takes us time.
Yeah, I had an idea for a funny video. Someone needs to do something like make it a spoof of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but it'd be a Nigerian prince.
Yeah. that would be good.
That would make a funny video. That's a good project for you, Chris.
That is.
There you go. As soon as the documentary's done, man, get on that.
That's right.
I'm on it.
And then we'll use it in all of our episodes.
Fresh Prince of email.
Thinking along the lines, a little bit off topic, I saw the new Jason Statham movie over the weekend called The Beekeeper, and it was these people he was going after were these scammers that scammed this elderly person, and they had this huge call center where they were calling people up and cleaning out their bank accounts. So it was kind of interesting to see some of these cyber-related topics getting into movies.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to see that movie. What does he do? Release a bunch of bees into their call center? Or I have no idea what The Beekeeper's about.
It's kind of interesting. The beekeeper thing is what these retired people that work for like three-letter agencies, when they retire, they become what they call a beekeeper. They're just kind of not in the game anymore. But it was an interesting topic. I originally thought it was like a based on a comic book or something, but I don't think it was. For some reason, I thought it was part of some universe or something of comic books or something. But it's pretty interesting movie. A lot of fun if you like the John Wick movies, that type of action. It's about like that as far as the type of action.
Cool.
So yeah, one of the things too is we all did that collaboration last month, and it turned out pretty well. If you guys kind of brought me in to be involved, if you could kind of share where that idea came from. where that all came from.
Chris, I'll let you take this one, sir.
That's you, Glanden.
All right, so I have roots in Texas. I have family there. I've mentioned this many times before, and I've always felt like I've been, connected with that community there. And meeting you guys and just having, some other contacts in the area, I was like, you know what, we should do a live event in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've done live events before. This would be new for me. I would have a reason to come back and see you guys and do something there. And then also, meet the community, the InfoSec community there. And I was thinking about it, and I think I hit you up, Kevin, first. And I said, I'm thinking about doing an event down there. Would you be interested? And he wrote back, he was like, yeah, man, just let me know when. I'll be there to support you. And I was just like, no, man, I need you there. Like, I need you there on the mic. And so being from the area, he decided to get onto the show. And then Philip, we got you in, and then I think no, he had reached out to Jason, and Jason's not in the Texas area, but he was like, I'm flying down. So we decided to do the Cyber Circus there in Grapevine, Texas. And Philip, I'll let you sort of explain who else joined us from the community that I was not familiar with, but we basically brought together the entire community. We had a great turnout. We had a great conversation. And I think we all published it. So you can find it on the Barcode site. You can find it on Cyber Distortion. And I think, Philip, you have it as well. So if you haven't heard it, check it out. But yeah, Philip, do you want to talk about who else joined you from your network?
Yeah. Kind of one of the things we did with the topic we did was the local hacker community. And we brought in Wirefall, the founder of DHA, and Juno, the person that runs our DEF CON 2 and 4 meetup. And then we had Neural Phantom from Hack Fort Worth to represent the Fort Worth side of the Metroplex. So basically on the DFW hacker scene, which was pretty interesting because because here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, we have Hack Fort Worth, Dallas Hackers Association, a DC 214 and DC 940 as far as hacker type of organizations. Also, we had a 2600 in the Dallas Fort Worth area, but I really didn't have any connections and know much about those folks. But a really good scene here. I mean, there's quite a bit of, and it's amazing all the other areas of InfoSec covered here too, because most folks around here will be going to your ISSA meetings and ISC squared meetings and all that stuff. And it's kind of crazy. I didn't really realize until this past week or so how much stuff they got around the executive and CISO communities here, because they have a conference here and they have happy hours, the CISO XE happy hours. I went to that last week, and there was I guess now is the week before last, and they had like over 100 people show up for these happy hours. And so they've got a really, really strong CISO community here as well. And then also our second guest, we covered AI, and we had Hutch, Justin Hutchins, since he's got his book out on weaponizing AI, and as well as he's done some research in that area. And then we had also had Quentin Rhodes Herrera in the area. He's a longtime pen tester and consultant, and he's started a startup, and he's worked with some automation and stuff. So that's kind of who we had, and the crowd seemed to like it pretty well.
Circus. This is the Lone Star Cyber Circus. So even, correct me if I'm wrong, but Wirefall, he's not from I guess he's in Dallas, but someone drove quite a bit to get there from Houston or somewhere, right?
That was Quentin.
That was Quentin.
Okay. No, that was Hutch. Hutch came from Houston.
Yep.
Quentin came a long way too.
Okay. Yeah. So I can't wait to run it back. I mean,
Quentin's local area, but Hutch came up from Houston for it. So
yeah,
Quentin was kind of surprised. I invited Quentin, sent out email, and never got a response back that he's going to participate. So I just kind of figured it must not have worked out. I was surprised when he showed up, but it was good.
That's because of who asked.
Yeah.
When Philip talks, man, people listen.
I actually had him on my old podcast, but Quentin's pretty sharp. But it's funny when you think about how sharp Hutch is, how smart that guy is. When you have someone like Quentin, highly intelligent and talented to say he feels stupid sitting next to Hutch. I mean, so that's.
Here's what was
think
really
that-
intriguing about that whole setup, though, right? Is we've kind of put this together on the fly. We said, hey, we want to try to do something live. Philip went out and pulled, talked to a lot of people, brought some people in. And when we got there, when you look at the landscape of the professionals that were there and the ability to talk about some very complex topics, and we didn't even get a chance to dive into deep topics. We did a little bit on AI, but it was so interesting to me on how vested people are in wanting to do this type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get people together and talk about community around cybersecurity and what can we all learn from it. So that gives me a lot of encouragement about what could be done if we did more of this stuff together. That's what makes it really super exciting. I think we have a lot of people doing one-off little things and trying to add value where they can and try to make their way. And you'll see things like conferences where people are more, starting to group together. But I think there is a desire for more people in this industry to get together and socialize and share and build and continue to move the community forward. And so we just need more types of events like this to do it.
I agree. And one of the things too, it also does, we had someone that I know from Twitter that I don't think they kept going on their podcast, but I had him on my old podcast and he ran a podcast for a while. So it's kind of a good way for us to encourage others and for others to try things, because you really don't know if you're going to be good at this until you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Kevin and I had that conversation. We're like, we don't know what this is going to turn out like. Let's just try it. And we're going to do one. And if we feel good about it, then we'll keep doing it. And then look, now we're still doing it.
It's funny if you go out.
Yeah.
If you go to our YouTube channel, what you'll see is there's an episode out there called episode 0. Welcome to the Cyber Distortion podcast. That was never intended to be put out there on the channel. It's just that was us testing our mics and testing our lighting and figuring everything out in our cameras. And we were like, dude, that actually wasn't awful. We didn't record it in high def like we should have because we're idiots. But hey, let's just throw it out there. Who cares? And still to this day, it's out there. So if anybody wants to see what a very first shot at doing anything that was never intended to be aired, it's out there. Episode 0.
I mean, there is a difference definitely when you do recorded versus live. I mean, for me, it's when you're doing recorded, and again, back to the focus on quality, you're very meticulous in getting everything right, sounding right before you push it out. With live, there is no retake. You have to you get it done, but at the same time, it's very organic. People seem to receive that well. You get crowd interaction, and the energy is just different.
It's totally different. It's totally different. And I enjoyed doing that with you guys because it was more than just the talks, and it was more than just, hey, let's all meet up. It was almost like a happy hour with a purpose. Yeah. And I liked going out there and doing that and then being able to, we had some fantastic sponsors that helped make that happen, so shout out to CyberStrike and Trace3 for helping us out there. But the fact that we were able to do that and then even give back the attendees something for coming and showing up and coming out of their way and fighting through that freaking traffic that night, because we did it on the same night as the Grapevine Christmas Light Festival or whatever. They had roads blocked.
By the way, I'm going to note publicly that the venue never told me that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. But the venue was perfect, man. I think the venue you chose was ideal because it was central to all of DFW, not just Dallas, not just Fort Worth. It was right in the middle. It just worked out really well. And I can't wait to do it again because you're right. The energy is something that you can't fabricate. You can't put that in when you're editing. It's just, it's different and it's awesome. We felt that, Chris, when we went. Philip invited us, by the way. The reason we know Chris, Philip invited us during Black Hat to go attend one of Chris's live podcasts in Las Vegas, Barcode at Barcode. And we realized really quickly dude, this is cool. This is live. This is a different energy. This is a different vibe. I want to do this stuff too. This is awesome. So when you asked me, Chris, honestly, I didn't think 20 seconds about it in my head before I already knew. My next call is to Jason to say, hey, can you be here this week? That'd be awesome.
You called me 24 hours later and you're like, yeah, Jason's flying down. I'm like, all right, well, it's definitely on now.
You know, the funny thing about that is I told him about it. He didn't even tell me he was flying down. He didn't even tell me he was looking at flights. But he said he never gave it a second. He said he never gave it a second thought. He had already looked up the flights by the time we were off the phone call.
You see how the story keeps going, right?
Yeah.
Kevin always comes in, twists my arm, and then I have to do something fantastic. Like, okay, dude, I'm all in. So no, I did. Yeah. Once Kevin called me up, was telling me about this, I'm like, okay, all right, that's good. And then hung up. We talked a little bit more. I hung up, and the next day he starts hounding on me again. He called me the next day just to hound on me, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I already got tickets made.
Yeah. He told me that next day he had already booked it. So I know he didn't waste any time either.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I look forward to the next one. And so since we kind of got some news, I guess that we could break this on this episode, a proper place to do that. And one of the main reasons that you joined, Chris.
Yeah. So do you want me to do the official announcement?
Sure.
Do the official announcement.
The official announcement.
Yeah, there's three podcasts here, right? It's officially official.
I am honored to present that Cyber Distortion podcast, the Philip Wiley Show, and Barcode. We are unifying to start something phenomenal that is called the Cyber Circus Network, which will continue to provide events like we did at the Lone Star Cyber Circus, bring communities together, and we're already starting to line up events throughout the rest of this year, and we're going to combine and we're going to bring not only content creators together, but we're also going to bring communities together, and hopefully that we'll continue to do that. And to the listeners out there, we're going to have a website spun up here soon, so you can keep track of what our schedule is, how to contact us, how to listen to these programs, and yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I'm really pumped about it, and it's going to be something really good for the community, for the industry, and we hope that everyone listening can enjoy it.
Yeah, well said.
Nice.
Am I leaving anything out?
No.
And the cybersecurity network is not podcast only, right? We're going to expand beyond podcasts. We're going to expand on, doing events, whether that's happy hours, whether that's networking events. So the purpose of this is just to, bring our energy to different events, different cities, and continuing to do what we do.
Yeah, categorically, this is an opportunity to touch and reach a lot of people with very good content in many different ways. And even just looking at this year, when we announced wanting to start doing this and we started looking into it, almost immediately we started booking events that we're going to do within the year. And so this is in our first year pulling us together to do this and growing this network out. We are going to have several just live events that we're pulling together to bring content, much less what else might occur throughout this year. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what we all do individually as well and how that adds value. But I'm really excited about what we're doing together and how that's going to continue to build community and invite more people to come in and join it and be involved in Cyber Circus Network and continue to add value. And let's see where it goes, because I think we're going to be able to do some great things together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. And one of the things I was pretty happy with is the way none of us had podcasted together. We may have been on other shows, but the way we worked together was really good, especially for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. And considering that we threw that thing together in, what was it, Chris? Just 3-4 weeks, I think.
Yeah,
total?
not even.
I mean, and because he hit me up right before we were heading out to go on a road trip for Thanksgiving. And I called Jason that night. I said, dude, think about it during the holiday as you're eating your turkey and stuff in your face. Think about this. And by the next day, Jason had let me know I've already booked my flights. And just to get a good turnout for something like that on such short notice, and to even pick up 2 sponsors, that was huge, man.
Yeah.
And to be able to do the raffle and do some of the fun things that we did that night back for the people that showed up, that's what makes it fun. And I can't state this enough, man. The vibe at the venue made the event electric too.
Oh yeah. And we'll
Intertwined in the
continue to do
music.
that.
Yeah, that was
like every event we're going to do. We're going to align with the same energy, no matter where we are. And not only the synergy between us as individuals, how we podcast, the content that we bring. I think our values align as well, right? We're at the end of the day, we all want to help each other. We want to help improve each other's content delivery, however that may be, and we also want to provide value to the listener. So on that front, I think we're definitely on the same page there.
Yeah, I think one thing I heard this one comment made that night when we did this podcast, and I think it's synergistic to how I felt that same night. It was the feeling of being in community with like-minded people. And so it was a group of people that on you get it through like users groups or conferences. You'll see things like this, but if you're not having those types of things happen, where do you get community, right? And so this is yet another way that we can involve people, that we can have community, and we can show people what it looks like. So you get more people involved in wanting to be a part of what we've been doing and what this industry is about.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed that I really feel made all of us get along so well is that all of us seem to have the same purpose with what we're trying to do. And that's to introduce this awesome industry to more people and to bring more people in, because we all realize we're really fighting a fight here. And the more people we can bring, the better off we are. And I think the other thing that was consistent between all of us is we want to also focus in on the next generation of talent, and how do we usher in that next generation of talent and get them up to speed as fast as possible. And so that is one thing that I feel we all had in common. And so it was very easy for us to say, let's just do this. Let's just join forces and make this happen. And that's going to continue to make this thing, I feel like it's going to continue to prosper because of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be successful going forward because the people that were there really enjoyed it, and people that missed out wish they could have made it after the fact. Some people didn't see the news until after the fact that really would have liked to have been there. So,
or traffic.
Yeah, traffic.
Traffic getting in was
preferably no insane. More road closures.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah.
But in spite of the traffic, we had a good turnout. I mean, it was a good number of people. I don't know
Absolutely.
how many people we had, but it was a good turnout.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, the more people learn about our mission and what we're trying to do under the Cyber Circus network, I think it's going to resonate with more and more people. And you're going to start to see the network get bigger and bigger and bigger, giving value. For me, and I learned this a long time ago, I want to surround myself with as many people as possible that can add value to the area that I'm working in, because there is no way any of us are ever going to be the smartest person in the room, and that's good enough. It has to be a combination of everyone. It has to be your resources, your who you lean on. It has to be all of those things that are going to help us win. And that's how we win. We win by leveraging each other and helping, lifting each other up and helping each other learn and know more about how to get this stuff done. That's how everyone wins. And if we can teach that at the beginning to the new people coming in, then we're going to reinforce this industry with good personnel going forward. And that's what we really want to try to do. So for me, that's what it's about. I think that's what it is for all of us. And that's what's going to make this network really super exciting.
Yep. Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Preach it.
Except for you, Kevin. Except for you. No. Kevin will do all of our artwork and make us look super fancy.
Make you legit, baby. I'll make you legit.
So do we need to reveal what's next for the Cyber Circus Network, aka CCN, by the way?
Yep.
Or do we want to leave that for the website?
Well, I think we can at least throw 2 of the engagements out there.
Okay. I'll let you do that.
All right. Well, we've been working on a couple of things, and we've lined up a couple of engagements. Our first one will be in March, right, Kevin, or April?
Are we talking Des Moines?
No, we're talking. I'm leaving
April.
that one out for now.
MES is April.
MES is in April. It will be in Orlando, right? Orlando, Florida. And it is the opportunity for CCN to do a recorded but in-person live broadcast. And we will be doing it to an audience of about 200 people or more. And this is all about covering topics like AI and cybersecurity. We'll be talking about Chris's launch of his documentary Inhuman and the purpose for that documentary and how it overlays with key aspects of cybersecurity. We'll probably bring in a third topic if we have time to try to address some of the outstanding high-level concerns around cybersecurity that we believe that audience needs to take away. But that'll be our first engagement. And then we will be doing a second one in Atlantic City, and that one is in June, correct, guys?
July.
I believe July. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
July in Atlantic City. And what's the name of that conference, by the way? Do you know?
Boardwalk Bites.
Boardwalk Bites on the beach in Atlantic City.
At Atlantic City, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that'll be an exciting one. We'll all be there doing a live in-person podcast. The topic is yet to be addressed yet, but we'll be pulling something together there. And so the shout out to everyone who's listening to this. Look up Boardwalk Bites, plan on attending, because it will be full of great content. And we're really working to try to broaden the information that we are bringing and what we are presenting at that conference. And there will be opportunities to talk to other professionals, meet people outside of your normal sphere, and watch us do a live presentation. So look for that one to add to your list of conferences to attend this year. And
That's
then
boardwalkbites.org, by the way.
And
Most
that's bites
definitely.
like BYTE.
BYTES.
Yeah.
.org.
So that'll be a very exciting one. We're looking forward to that. And I believe then we have a couple of other ones in the works. We're looking at one in Iowa coming up. Hopefully in March. We have one coming up potentially in September, back in Florida again. And
One during DEF CON.
One during DEF CON. So
At least 5 or 6. Yeah.
It can start to be a really packed season of live in-person podcast broadcasts for the CCN group. And so we hope you guys will stay looking and listening and looking out for the next event and participate in what we have to bring.
cyberscircusnetwork.com will be up. Kevin, get on that.
We got a lot of work to do.
Philip
We got a
does
lot
not
of work
waste-
to do.
Philip does not waste time publishing an episode. So by the time this is released, we expect that to be up and running.
Oh, God. I got a long way to go.
And a short time to get there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Smoking a Bandit reference in case you didn't catch it.
Oh, we got it. I'm Gen X, baby. I knew right when you said it.
Very awesome. It's been great having you guys on today and be able to share the awesome news with the listeners. And also for the listeners, I'll be sharing the links to these guys' podcast and to the new website, as well as information for Boardwalk Bites. So thanks everyone for joining. You guys have anything that you'd like to say before we close it out?
I'd just say thanks for having us on, and check out some of the other episodes on our channel when Philip links it. If you'd be so kind as to subscribe, that's how we can continue to grow. And we're always down for any advice on future episodes. So hit us up there too. We'd love to pump out things that you guys want to hear about.
Philip, it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to continue to do more. I always have fun meeting with you guys and talking shop. It's never a dull moment when we're getting together talking through this stuff. And I have a sneaking suspicion it's just going to get better.
Yeah, me too.
Never a dull moment. Yeah, thank you, Philip, for having me on as well. I appreciate it. Can't wait to see what CCN is bringing next. So looking forward to it, guys.
Well, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you guys on. I appreciate you taking time to join me today. And to listeners, make sure to subscribe to these folks' channels on your favorite platforms as well as mine, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Philip Wiley Show. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, to learn more about Philip, go to thehackermaker.com and connect with him on LinkedIn and Twitter @Philip Wiley. Until next time.